We had just finished this introductory show to the Earth Charter and a couple of other shows when it dawned on us that nowhere did we tell you what we thought the purpose of these shows in this series, Earth Charter Living, is about. And so we decided to come back and film me chatting with you about that. Since you don't know anything about the Earth Charter yet, let's just say, and I want to make sure I get these words right, that it's a framework for a bold, courageously optimistic international movement toward a wholesome, balanced, and peaceful world. And those lovely words are courtesy of our Earth Charter community organizer in Chicago, Linda Osborne. The purpose of our shows is to get you involved in the Earth Charter. It's to enlighten, to entertain, and inspire you so that you will become part of our grassroots movement to make the Earth Charter come alive in our personal lives and in our communities. Following the 2004 presidential election, there was a lot of noise being made by politicians and pundits and plain-spoken people about the divisiveness in our country. And if we allow that to be told and we start to believe that, this split mentality of us and them then prevents us from coming together as a unified whole to really address our existing and serious problems economically, socially, and culturally, and politically. So, what I want you to learn and what I want you to believe, because I truly believe it, that there are people out there who have been doing some research that say this is not true. We are not as divided as we are painted to be. And one of them is a political scientist at Stanford University, Morris Fiorina. And he did a data analysis from elections, from the presidential elections from 1996. And what he found is that Americans are much more nuanced in their opinions, and there's far more agreement than there is division. In addition, Paul Ray, an American sociologist who has studied Americans and their values for over 15 years, has found that 87% of all Americans believe that the planet is one living entity. And you know, when I find out these things, I like to go out in the world and sort of test them. And I was at our local grocery store here in Tampa, and I was talking to the butcher who was giving me shrimp, and this was a few months ago. And I asked him where the shrimp came from, and he mentioned a couple of places, and he also mentioned Indonesia. And it was right after the tsunami had struck and caused such devastation there. And I said to him, "Oh, what a horrible thing that was." And he said, yes, it was. And then he went into at least a 5-minute passionate story about the earth is a living being, and that what we are doing to destroy it is causing these things. And he believed that with all of his heart. And he said that if we were to cut down on our fossil fuels, and he went on and on about why we had to do this to protect this living entity that we're all part of. So I went back home and I write an article for a local magazine, and I said, you know, I'm going to write up that story. So I went back to the grocery store and I asked another butcher, what was the name of the first butcher, who by the name is called Abe, and the one I was talking to was Rick. And I said, I'm going to write this article and this is what I'm going to write about. And he said, oh, it is so true that the planet, we have been alive for billions and billions of years. He said the plates shift, and he went on and on. And you know, as he talked, he had a different little slant on things, and I could tell from a couple of things he said that probably he and Abe didn't vote the same in the last presidential election, but they were in agreement that the planet is one living entity. And just imagine how much further we can go in our conversation and then in our actions if we begin with our common shared values and beliefs. And then from there, you know, if we believe this is all one living planet, from there we go to, well, what does that mean to us? And what is our role in that? And what is our responsibility? It is such a different framework, and that's what the Earth Charter gives us. I want you to stay tuned for this show, and I want you to come back for future shows, because it's people like you we want involved. We want folks who maybe don't define themselves as activists, but to whom the principles of the Earth Charter and the values of the Earth Charter resonate. They really do feel connected to those, and so we're giving you an opportunity to truly make them come alive. We have future shows on sustainable martinis and wine, the Earth Scouts, lesbians who lunch, and many more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
We stand at a critical moment in Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future. As the world becomes increasingly interdependent and fragile, the future at once holds great peril and great promise. To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of cultures and life forms, we are one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny. We must join together to bring forth a sustainable global society founded on respect for nature, universal human rights, economic justice, and a culture of peace. Towards this end, it is imperative that we, the peoples of the earth, declare our responsibility to one another, to the greater community of life, and to future generations.
You've just heard the opening paragraph of the preamble of the Earth Charter, and every time I hear it, it lifts my spirit. The Earth Charter is a set of principles that you would write if you were asked, what do we need to have in order to have more caring, more safe, more healthy communities? What are the things that we need to have happen, not only in our hometowns, but around the world? When people read the Earth Charter for the first time, there is this, oh my gosh, yes, this makes sense sort of reaction, and we get that reaction from people all around the world. And the reason for that is very simple. This document was written by people all around the world. It was written by the hunters in the Arctic. It was written by Russian peasants, by African men and women, and by Buddhists in China, and many, many more people, including people just like you. I can't tell you how extraordinary the drafting process was. It was so open, so participatory. It went on for 10 years, and thousands of people in 77 countries helped to write this. And then finally, it was launched at the Hague Peace Palace in June 2000. I was moved to tears when I first heard about the Earth Charter at a drafting session in Assisi, Italy, because I couldn't believe so many people all around the world wanted the same kind of world that I did. It was an emotional, transformational moment for me. I got so excited about it that I ended up being invited to the Hague Peace Palace for its launch in 2000, and in the company of Queen Beatrix, Mikhail Gorbachev, Stephen Rockefeller, Wangari Maathai, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2004 for her work in Kenya and is a Kenya Earth Charter Commissioner. All these beautiful, glorious, heart-filled people were there, and it was there, much to my surprise, that my dream for launching this in the United States with simultaneous Earth Charter summits held in many, many cities, all at the same time, all around the country, inspiring people to make the Earth Charter principles real in their community. That was noticed, that was recognized as the major grassroots effort in the United States. And I'll tell you that story about the summits a little later. What makes the Earth Charter so unique? It's its core value that we are all one. Secularist, religious, and spiritualist beliefs reflect this truth. And Muslims and Jews also believe that we are all made in the image of God. Hindus believe we are all a spark of the eternal flame. The universal law of Buddhism is compassion for all. The goddess culture teaches that everything, from the plants to the people to the rocks, are connected by goddess energy. And spiritualists believe that we are all part of the universal flow of energy. Unity teaches we are all have the divine spark within us. Unitarian Universalists believe that we're all part of the web of life. Quakers believe that we all share the light. Christians, Jews, and Muslims believe we are all made in the image of God, or Allah, and Native Americans believe that all life is animated by one spirit. Even secularists believe that we are all one because we all spring from one quantum event, the Big Bang. We truly are all one, and the Earth Charter gives us an ethical guide for how to treat one another and all life on this planet so that we nourish and support our oneness. The Earth Charter is not simply about finding solutions to the negative symptoms of our societies. It addresses change at the most profound, deepest level. It is a values-based vision with 4 major commitments.
Ribbit, 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 ribbit. Hey, is anybody out there listening to us? Our voices are dwindling. I think I've kissed a couple of these guys in my life.
The ecological principles of the Earth Charter address, of course, environmental concerns. And we all know our ecological systems are hurting. We have pollution of our air and our water. We have the dying of species. We have consumption in this country that has run totally amok. The Chinese have a proverb that if you do not know where you are going, then you will end up where you began. And we need a guide to get back on track for respecting nature, and the Earth Charter gives us that. One of the first things the Earth Charter says is that we need to not take chances with life on this planet. That means prevent harm. Don't ask how much toxicity will it take to hurt someone or to hurt the environment. Don't do it. And if you do it, then you are responsible for your mess. We all learned that as kids growing up. Clean up your own mess. Another thing the Earth Charter talks about is our need to develop alternative energy. And here in Florida, we have so much sunlight. We really need to be doing more solar energy, and we need to be doing more wind energy like they do in Europe. We also need to curb our consumption. We've gotten crazy with that. We've been struggling so hard to keep up with the Joneses. Now I hear, actually, that the Joneses have surrendered. They've gotten weary about accumulating all that stuff, so they've sold every piece of it. They've hopped on a tartan sailboat just like this, and they're off cruising around the world, and they're given haircuts and massages in ports in order to make a living while they do it. Living simply, that's the key. Another thing we need to look at, and this is an important point, is that indigenous people have a right to their wisdom. It is not okay for outsiders to come in and patent the ancient ways they have been using plants and trees over the centuries. This was attempted with the neem tree in India, and it was defeated, and I'm very happy about that. The ecological principles of the Earth Charter are all about respecting nature, nourishing it, and supporting it, and each one of us has a role to play in that.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm out here fighting for the Earth Charter principles on economic and social justice.
Which, of course, is not the voice of the Earth Charter. It's not about fighting for something. It's about us all coming together in harmony around the principles. And if you're wondering if I have any clue at all at how ridiculous I look, the answer is yes, I do. But I'm dressed like this so that you'll pay attention, because it's very important that you know that the Earth Charter's core value of the interdependence of all life means, therefore, that all issues are all related. If we're going to look at the planet as one living entity, then we have to see all the issues are related. So we can't just be worried about the environment without being concerned about social and economic justice, peace, and democracy. And so now I'm going to just take a few moments to tell you about social and economic justice principles that are found in the Earth Charter. I'm standing in front of this wall of many colors because the Earth Charter deals with eliminating discrimination of people of many colors. And I thought, and so did George, our excellent camera person and editor and technical muse, we just thought this was a really good shot to introduce this whole segment on social justice principles. The Earth Charter calls for the elimination of discrimination based on race, color, gender, sexual orientation, religion, language, and national or social origin. The Earth Charter says that we must eradicate poverty not only as an economic imperative, but as a moral imperative. Is it moral for children to be living in poverty? 1 out of 4 children in America lives in poverty. Globally, 1 out of 2 do. We're talking about innocent children dying of starvation, living in very dire situations. Do you know that the poverty level here in the U.S. for a family of 4 is $18,850 a year? That doesn't even cover food, shelter, utilities, never mind a simple treat of an ice cream cone. And working families aren't much better off. Real wages haven't gone up in this country since 1973. People are working double jobs, they're living in vans, they're living in cars. They are working, but they are not living a life with any dignity or sense of self-esteem. The Earth Charter also calls for economic activities and institutions promoting human development in an equitable and sustainable way. In short, that means putting people and the environment before profits. Thankfully, there are some businesses moving in that direction, engaging in more environmentally sound practices. And today I stand in the courtyard for Aubrey Organics, an international skincare business based here in Tampa, Florida. But we haven't by any means gone far enough. In fact, Paul Ray, a sociologist here in America who has studied our values for over 14 years, has found that 84% of all Americans believe that corporate greed and short-sightedness is harming our country. And the Earth Charter gives us an ethical frame for spawning conversations to address that problem. The Earth Charter is about having a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, not just for white property owners. Just imagine that, a truly representative government where all the public officials, not just some, pay attention to their constituents, not to moneyed interests. The Earth Charter calls for creating a culture of peace. And who can argue with going in the direction of peace and nonviolence? No one really likes war. No one likes the death of good people, the ruination of cities and their histories, the maiming of our children, the destruction of our environment, the financial costs that drain our budgets so there is not the money we need for quality education, care for those who desperately need it, or for taking care of the infrastructure of our cities and villages. The Earth Charter clearly says that peace begins with each of us, and that we must treat all living beings with consideration and respect. And as a nation, we must move in the direction of eliminating all biological, toxic, and nuclear weapons, all weapons of mass destruction. We must ensure that our space is used only for peaceful purposes. We must protect this fragile planet. Right behind me, across the other side of Hillsborough River, you will see the University of Tampa. And it was there, in their Pepin Root Stadium, on September 29, 2001, that we launched the Earth Charter in the United States. And what a day it was, what a historic day. I can remember our Earth Charter Buddhist volunteers chanting to stave off the dark storm that threatened to ruin our outdoor summit. And it worked. They did stop it from raining and pouring on us. I can also remember the men and the women and the children arriving and solemnly signing the Earth Charter, our Declaration of Interdependence. It was a day in which there was such hope. It was just right after September 11th, a day that filled us with such pain and despair. And we came together, and when we came together, we truly felt connected with other souls like ourselves who, despite our anguish, believed that we could and would create a better world. We felt hope. And in the cities, it was so wonderful to see. It was so important that we connected via satellite connection. We did a round robin with 3 minutes of every city coming up with their excitement about the Earth Charter for that day, so that we could see we were not alone, that we could see this was happening in cities all around America, that indeed this day, this historic September 29, 2001, we launched in the United States the Earth Charter grassroots movement. We have been working over the past few days to capture some moments that would help you know a little bit more about the principles of the Earth Charter and to its unique core value, the interdependence of all life, and the very importance that it has for us and for others. I'd also like to just take a few moments to tell you some of the things that have been happening with the Earth Charter at the grassroots level around the United States, many of them spawned by the Earth Charter community summits. Just as an aside though, you need to know that over 2,000 organizations have endorsed the Earth Charter, including the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the International Baccalaureate Organization, and many, many others. What we've been doing with the Earth Charter in the States primarily has been to seed it within the community. And there are two ways that we do it. First of all, we want you to know you don't have to join an organization and you don't have to come to meetings. We're using a model of the women's movement, and it was in the women's movement when women came together and told their stories that they experienced and got validated as equal human beings. So we believe that one of our jobs, a very important one with the Earth Charter, is to get the word out there so people can read it and see how they are part of this whole wondrous web of life, that everything they do is interdependent with others and with the planet itself. And once you know that, what we're asking you to do is to take the Earth Charter into whatever sphere of influence you have, wherever you go, to see how you can expand what you're doing to include the Earth Charter. And to give you a couple of examples, we call this the art of Earth Chartering. And we have a working mom, who believes a lot in the Earth Charter here in Tampa, but who does not have time to come to meetings. And what she did was she took the Earth Charter to her child's school, and she introduced teachers there with the Earth Charter. She also, when Earth Scouts comes along, which is a festival we do with our Earth Charter Community Summit each year, she brought her daughter and other kids to the Earth Scouts Festival so they would know about it, and they did a show and tell on the Earth Scouts Festival, which was on the wall of the classroom many, many months later and caught the eye of another parent who got interested to bring it to another school that they know about. We have retired nuns who have taken a real interest in the Earth Charter, and what they did was something that's so simple to do. They sent a Christmas letter to their friends and introduced all their friends to the Earth Charter, and as a result, one of their friends, who is a member of an RV club, is now getting the RV club to endorse the Earth Charter, and he is educating through articles in their magazine about the Earth Charter and what they can do as messengers for the Earth Charter as they travel around the country. So whatever you're doing, just think about, how can I bring the Earth Charter and its principles into what I am doing? And you don't even have to do anything different from what you do every day. But there are lots of things going on that you can join if you want to. In the cities that have had the summits, they've spawned many different things. In Indianapolis, they're working on an academy for Earth Charter leadership. Seattle has endorsed the Earth Charter. There's interfaith discussions going on using the Earth Charter there. Santa Barbara is interested in bringing a group together after their summit this year to use the Earth Charter as a framework for the sustainability of Santa Barbara. We have other cities that are doing it. There's Santa Rosa, where they've developed the nuns of, let's give them credit, the nuns for the St. Joseph Center for Change developed a 16-week curricula for middle and high school students that fit in with the California education students, all based on the Earth Charter. In Tampa, we are launching a model program, the Earth Charter Community Indicators, with the centerpiece measuring a personal sense of community, which of course is the key issue for the Earth Charter. We have Earth Scouts volunteers working around the country to make this program for both boys and girls ages 3 through 17 a real happening thing in their communities. Kids have been involved in that as well, and they chose the motto, changing the world one fun badge at a time. And we're going to have another show later on the Earth Scouts. Let's see, Boulder, Colorado, we had a Greene County Commissioner from Telluride is using it as a framework for their sustainability plans. The County of Ventura in California was the first to endorse the Earth Charter. There are faculty and scholars and others from Dartmouth College who are working with a former school teacher there to develop a curricula for a summer camp program at Kimball Union. That's going to be a 3-week program, and Earth Charter will be part of that. Also, folks at National Louis University are developing a social change master's degree that is guided by the values of the Earth Charter. There's a lot going on. We'd love to have you participating with us. All you have to do is contact the main office, whose phone number and web address is on this tape, and we will link you up to people in your community. You know, the first time we all saw the Earth from outer space, we all marveled at this beautiful blue sphere, and I don't think any one of us looked at that without experiencing the oneness of our being. It is up to us to nourish and protect this very precious planet, not only for ourselves, but for other living beings and for generations yet to come. I want to close with the final words of the Earth Charter that come from the Way Forward. Let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life.